These are the biggest national teams in the world, with a combined 22 World Cup titles. But even as strong as they are, each of them have already suffered a bad humiliation on the pitch. So in this video, we'll see the heaviest defeat suffered by each World Cup winner in the last 50 years.
For number 4!
And can you believe this scoreline?
Nobody expected this!
We're also gonna be ranking every defeat to see which World Cup winner in the last half a century suffered the biggest humiliation. Starting with the country that invented the sport we love, England. Since this video covers the biggest defeat of the last 50 years, you might think their heaviest defeat was way back. But no, in fact it happened in 2022. In June 2022, in the city of Wolverhampton, England with a full squad faced Hungary in the Nations League. For context, in that Nations League, England was doing very poorly. They came to this game against Hungary after not winning any of the last 3 matches of the group, so they needed to win. But things didn't start well.
3 centre-backs were forward, one of them got a tuck, and then the follow-up is in from Shaloi.
Even playing at home, England couldn't create enough chances, so they went into halftime with some boos from their fans. But in the second half, it got even worse.
Looking for Shaloi. He's done it again. Henry as well. Pattern. Then Nos.
3-0 for Hungary. And to make things worse, John Stones was sent off. So Southgate replaced Saka with Maguire, but Hungary still delivered the final blow.
It could get even worse here. Ramsdale's trying to prevent it, but he can't. And can you believe this scoreline? England 0, Hungary 4.
By 4-0, England suffered its biggest defeat of the last 50 years. For now in our ranking, England's on top, but we're gonna see even crazier matches. So let's move on to the next country, the also one-time World Cup winner, Spain. In the last 50 years, Spain had several good generations of players: Butragueño, Luis Enrique, Hierro, Pep Guardiola and more. But none of them were as good as the generation of Xavi and Iniesta. However, what no one expected was that this same golden generation would be humiliated.
Spain, humbled, hammered, humiliated.
In April 2014, the whole world was ready to watch this clash. Spain versus Netherlands, literally a rematch of the previous final. So the Netherlands won a revenge, but Spain knew they had a team very capable of winning.
Xabi Alonso at his 6th major tournament. A cool head.
Spain scored the opener. Once again, the Netherlands was being defeated, but that was only until the end of the first half.
Oh, the header! Oh my word! Van Persie with an absolute stunner!
But in the second half, this massive Spanish squad literally collapsed. The Netherlands scored the second, third, fourth, and to seal the deal, Robben humiliated even more.
Robben! Controls! Robben is it! Holland are creating one of the World Cup stories. 5-1. Nobody expected this.
By an incredible 5-1, Spain suffered its biggest defeat in the last 50 years. And right when they were not only the defending champions of the World Cup, but also the current UEFA Euro winner, something that no one would have imagined. Now it's the same goal difference as England's defeat, but Spain suffered even more goals, so they take the first place. But it was not only Spain that suffered its heaviest defeat in the last 50 years in a World Cup. The next champion also suffered a humiliation in the tournament, but unlike Spain, it happened a few decades ago, in the 1986 World Cup. That year, Uruguay was placed in a very tough group, with Germany, Denmark and Scotland. But surprisingly, they drew with Germany in the first match. So it seemed Uruguay was going for something. But against Denmark, it wasn't so good.
For Elkiar for the first goal! Get past Acevedo, the cross comes in!
2 goals down in the first half. Then from a penalty, Uruguay managed to reduce the deficit. But in the second half, Denmark sealed the deal.
Don't exist, this is going to be one of the goals of the tournament! Can he? Well, it's got to be a goal for Elkiar. Lerby. Elkiar's hat-trick! And one of them here is Jesper Olsen, who's made it 6.
6-1, the biggest defeat Uruguay had in the last 50 years. A humiliating defeat, especially for a 2-time World Cup winner. Now the ranking has a new country on top. But spoiler alert, Uruguay will not finish first place. Now another team that has also won 2 titles is France. They have been very consistent. The worst result they had recently seen was in the UEFA Euro 2008, when France was defeated by 4-1 against the Netherlands, a 3-goal difference. But there was a team that managed to defeat them by a 4-goal difference, in a country you'd never expect. Back in 1982, France came to play a friendly in Paris against another European side, Poland. It was in August, just 1 month after Poland defeated France in the '82 World Cup. So France won a revenge, but in Paris, Poland made history, making it 1-0 in the first half and another 3 goals in the second. So Poland finished it 4-0. To this day, the most humiliating defeat France had in the last 50 years. In our ranking, they are now alongside England. But if this result was surprising to you, it doesn't even come close to the shock that was the heaviest defeat of Argentina. Back in 2009, Argentina was managed by none other than Maradona, with players such as Mascherano, Tevez and Lionel Messi. So they were playing the qualifiers for the World Cup, where Argentina was very close to qualifying. In 11 games, they had only 2 losses. So in April 2009, they traveled to face Bolivia, which was in second to last place and was even 56 in the FIFA rankings. It seemed an obvious win for Argentina. But then, Bolivia scored, but Argentina quickly managed to equalize, so it seemed like a balanced match. But before the end of the first half,
penalti, ahí va, amaga, golpea y logra marcar Bolivia otra vez por delante. Ahí está Botero, ya ha visto un recurso, remate de cabeza, ¡qué gol!
The game went into halftime 3-1. For Argentina, this was already a humiliation, but it got worse.
Promocionaría, centro de Martins, el remate a gol.
The 4th goal. On top of that, Di Maria was sent off, so Bolivia didn't stop.
Pelota inteligente, balón al área, Botero, va a llegar el quinto. Había pitado el colegiado, pero no hubo nada, el sexto.
Argentina was totally humiliated, 6-1, making that April 1st, 2009 go down in history. It was such a heavy defeat that it remained as Messi's biggest defeat up until 2020, when Barcelona lost to Bayern 8-2. But there was a reason for this: the altitude. The stadium was 3,600 meters above sea level, making the air thinner, so the Argentinians got tired much faster, giving the Bolivians a huge advantage. So Argentina ties with Uruguay as the biggest defeat so far. Now after this defeat that Argentina will never forget, 3 years later Italy was also humiliated, but this time it was in a continental final. On July 1st, 2012, Italy was heading into one of their biggest matches in history, the UEFA Euro final against Spain. It was the World Cup winners of 2006 against the 2010s. It was as good as it gets. With a squad with Buffon, Pirlo, Balotelli, etc., Italy had only conceded 3 goals throughout the entire tournament. But in just 14 minutes, Spain began to break them down.
Gorgeous pass for Fabregas, and David Silva's in support. Spain strike first.
Spain scored the opener, so Italy had to push forward until Spain got a counter-attack.
Much again, Jordi Alba. It's Jordi Alba. It's
2-0, a very bad result for Italy. But they weren't giving up. In the second half, they had chances to reduce the deficit, but Casillas saved everything. Spain was on its way to becoming champion, but even with the guaranteed win, they decided to finish them.
Given away. And Torres is in here for 3-0. Might get better, you know, Torres. Oh, Juan Mata is there, it's 4. A perfect evening.
After conceding only 3 goals throughout the entire tournament, Italy had their biggest defeat of the last 50 years, 4-0. The most humiliating silver medal ever. But looking at the other defeats, it could have been even worse. But if Italy was thrashed by Spain, the next team also suffered at the hands, or rather at the feet of the Spaniards. After Italy, we arrive in Germany, the only team that has reached the World Cup final 8 times. Beating Germany by a large margin seemed impossible. After all, they became famous for thrashing other countries. But that was only until November 2020. In an empty stadium, Germany went to face Spain in Seville for the Nations League. They were competing for a spot in the tournament's semi-finals, where Germany just needed a draw to qualify. Up to that point, Germany had been unbeaten for a year. But right in the first half, Spain made this game enter history.
And Dani Olmo with his momentum just kind of ran into him. Whoa!
There's the opening goal for Spain. Beyond Ginter and the headers off the bar. The follow-up from Ferran Torres. 2 p.m. on ESPN. The header is number 3, just like that.
Even with Neuer, Kroos, Sané, Gnabry and others, Spain completely dominated. But for Germany, the second half got even worse.
From Fabian Ruiz. What an opportunity for number 4 at the weekend, and Spain want number 5, Ferran Torres!
5-0. It was already Germany's biggest defeat in over 60 years. But Spain didn't stop there.
Gaia. What a chance! It is 6! Would you believe it? Oyarzabal!
6-0. Absolutely devastating. Spain dominated with over 70% ball possession and 23 shots against 2. For the first time, Neuer conceded 6 goals in a single game. Believe it or not, Germany goes now to the first place of our ranking. But there is still one more country, Brazil, with the most shocking defeat of all time.
Welcome to the World Cup semi-final of 2014, Brazil versus Germany.
In 2014, Brazil was hosting the World Cup and reached the semi-finals. So millions of fans had high expectations on reaching the final. Lifting the World Cup trophy at home was a dream, but they reached the semi-final with a major setback. They were without Neymar, who suffered a serious injury, and without the captain Thiago Silva. On the other side, Germany was reaching the semi-finals for the 4th consecutive time with a very strong squad. So everybody knew that this was gonna be very difficult for the home team. But it was much worse than everyone imagined.
Plenty of height on it, it's gone through! Germany scored!
Müller scored the opener. So the game continued. Brazil now needed to equalize. But from the 23rd to the 29th minute, the unimaginable happened.
Brazil in real trouble! They're in dire trouble now! We have a World Cup record! Looking good for the final on Sunday, they might get another one here! It's 3-0! This is quite astonishing! It's all over now! It really is all over for Brazil! Özil, they're queuing up!
5-0 in the first half. It was all over. Then for the second half, the manager made changes that improved the team. But even so, Germany didn't stop.
Back into Lahm. Square. 6-0 it is. But, they might have number 7 here now. They have got 7. It's hammered in.
7-0. A result so shocking that if it had happened in a fictional movie, people would call it too unrealistic. Then in the end, Oscar scored a consolation goal for Brazil, finishing it as the worst defeat of a World Cup winner in the last 50 years. 7-1. So what do you think of this video? If you enjoyed it, I think you're gonna like this one too. So thank you and bye.